Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? It is Gis once again at the Tombs of Amascut, and this time we're doing the 300/350 quote-unquote budget guide. Of course, as you increase the raid level here at this raid, you're going to need to get a little bit better gear if you don't want to have a really awful time. So I think bare minimum, I'm going to recommend you have at least a Fang. You don't need this magic setup that you see in my inventory. This is something that I just wanted to test for myself because I was doing the Calcs, which I'll show you in a bit. And it's actually a pretty interesting option, and it is a little bit cheaper than a BoFa to get this off the ground. So, as you can see by our current equipment, we are camping the Eclipse at Ladle again, and we're going to bring a Fang this time. Fang is definitely the biggest thing. I did put on some Aranea boots because it helps with all three of our combat styles without giving us any negatives. And I'm also camping the Blood Fury, as if you want to do your 350 kit, you cannot die. So a Blood Fury will help you a little bit. It's not, you know, critical that you have one. If you're not going to bring one, just go ahead and drop like one or two of these restores for an extra brew or two. Or if you have yellow Karis, you can go ahead and just bring yellow Karis over one of the brews. We're going to have 4 brews, and then the rest will be restores. You can go ahead and just bring a yellow Karis instead, if you would like to do that as well. There's not too much to talk about mechanically in the raid. I'm sort of just going to be going through and telling you sort of where you can get maybe a little bit extra or something to keep an eye out for, no pun intended, hot, and things of that nature. I'm not going to go into like super detailed mechanics or anything. If you do need that, still go ahead and check out my 150 guide. I go over the raid in its entirety in that guide, and you can come back here once you get that one under your belt. So what's the idea with this gear setup? The Eclipse does have a little bit of melee strength, so it allows us to use our melee weapons for both stabbing. We're going to be stabbing Baba and Kephri. We're going to be DDSing the core, and sometimes we will be poking Akkha. Zebak, we will be using the Atlatl, and we really need our BGS to land, unfortunately, because we aren't bringing a BoFa. The one benefit to bringing a BoFa over this setup here is you get to use a BoFa on Zebak. Zebak is kinda tanky in a 300/350. It'll take you a while to get through him. The Atlatl is functional, but you do really need to hit the BGS, and we might run into that issue in a 300 as well. I'll show you the Invocations in a moment, but this is my current, like, toy that I'm just playing with. I'm just trying to make it work. So I'm going to go over to the Calcs for you guys here really quick over on gearscape.net. If you do want to access this, I will put the link in the description. It's a pretty useful tool. Over here on the right, you can see that all these setups I have plugged in are basically our gear, except I also threw in a BoFa setup so we can do some comparing. If we were to bring the BoFa setup instead of the Atlatl setup, what kind of damage are we looking at? Of course, if you did have a BoFa setup, you would be bringing an Anguish here. This is with a Quiver, but like, I think the Quiver makes like a 0.3 DPS difference over an Assembler, so it's not that big a deal. Don't worry about it. It's like a net neutral, right? Because if the Quiver's not here, then it wouldn't be on any other setup, right? So we would just put the Assembler on and everything would take the hit, so whatever. But I digress. Let's go look at some numbers, shall we? So I don't have any of the defense reduction on any of these setups. So over here, what we're looking at is what each weapon is doing against the boss is effectively what we're looking at here. So we know that we're stabbing Baba because the rest of these are pretty beans. We don't really like that. It's like 20% worse to use a BoFa, right? It's pretty bad. If you want to get an expanded detail, you can go ahead and use the little drop down and see exactly what's going on. You can see your max hit, your TTK, and all that stuff. But as we go through, we know we're stabbing Baba and Kephri, so those are the rooms we're also going to open with, because we're pre-potting a super combat and a range pot. And I don't think it matters that much. What really matters is the fact that we don't want to salt our melee rooms, because when we're using the Eye of Ayak or the Atlatl, we really want to be salted, because that makes a bigger difference than assault does for melee, if that makes sense. So for the Atlatl, the reason it matters is because it's rolling off of your melee strength for its max hit, but it's rolling off of your ranged accuracy for its accuracy, of course. So when you get both your range level and your strength level up, your max hit goes up and your accuracy goes up. So it's double dipping. Very cool. And then for the Eye, of course, it's a powered staff, just like anything else. If your magic level is higher, then your max hit is higher. Simple as. So we love using Salt for range and magic. Don't really care about it for melee. It's nice, but way less impactful. Super combat's totally functional. So we're going to be doing Monkey and Kephri first. And if we keep going down, we know we're stabbing Kephri, we're stabbing Kephri. Here we go. Look at Akkha. Even if we didn't use the Eye of Ayak special attack, which is effectively just a BGS for magic, because it drains the target's magic defense level by the amount the special attack hit. So very good, and it's super hilarious on Warden, especially once you get a liquid adrenaline, because you just get to huck specs at it the whole time, and you do a lot of damage. So it's better against Akkha. Obviously, we're still blowpiping the shadows, but Eye of Ayak is better over here. Obviously, I think if I put an Anguish in, BoFa would be better, technically, but, you know, it's cheaper to run this setup than it is this setup, I promise. Quite a good bit better. Zebak is, I already went over that. He's a little bit tanky, so BoFa does pretty good. But I will also input, if we manage to hit our BGS cap, we do go up to 7.43 DPS, and BoFa would also gain, obviously. I think it goes up to like 8.1 if you hit BGS cap, but the Atlatl will keep up as long as you hit your BGS, which you probably will. 20 isn't that big of a deal, and you'll be salted, so you'll be doing just fine. But Zebak is like for sure the slowest room, besides Wardens, but Wardens is just naturally longer because it has more phases. But Zebak is very slow in the setup, I will not lie. Optionally, you could bring Dragon Crossbow, Dragon Bolts, but like, why bother, you know? I don't really think it's worth the slots. And then we go down to Wardens, and this is where things get interesting. So, if we check this out, I have removed our Magic BGS, our Eye of Ayak special attack. Against Warden, in Phase 2, when you're just hitting him, either Range or Mage, getting the core to spawn out, look at this Eye of Ayak damage. 8.8. You're not special attacking this part. You're just smacking the crap out of him, and it's really funny that you can do that. Of course, you'll be switching into your Atlatl once he changes to range, and you'll still be doing some decent DPS. And then when he goes into P3, you might be looking like this. You're like, what the? Why would I ever do this? What's the point of that? That doesn't seem good at all. I don't exactly know if there's a cap on magic defense, so let's test it. Let's say we hit a 20. Alright, Eye of Ayak is now 7.3. Let's say we hit a 30. Does it go up? Okay, it's still 20. BoFa only beats it at P4? P3? Okay, P4. Why does it call it P3? P3 enraged. This is P4, by the way. It's pretty good, man. And if you could squeak out, the second you do this, though, dude, now it's dumb. See, the second you put those Confliction Gauntlets on, it's dumb. But even without it, it's not bad. And you could easily just upgrade to Confliction Gauntlets instead of getting the BoFa. So I'm going to do it with the Eye of Ayak. And another thing to note when you're looking at this, we have to remember that in P3, non-enrage, when we're doing left, right, center, when we're doing that whole shebang, or right, left, center, rather, we have to remember that in Insanity, that is a 9-tick cycle 3 different times, right? So every 3 ticks, he's flipping the stage, right? Every 3 ticks, he's going to flip the stage on you. Eye of Ayak is 3 ticks as well. BoFa is 4. T-Bow and Shadow are 5. So sometimes you end up losing ticks with those other weapons and losing a little bit of their DPS. You're not fully maximizing their DPS. Eye of Ayak, however, is just always going. You can't miss. It's go to this side, hit. Go to this side, hit. Go to this, hit. Go to this, hit. You don't have to do that weird thing sometimes where you're like, all right, I'm on this side, I'm hitting. This side, I'm hitting. This side, just can't quite hit. I got to go to this side and then hit. Right? So you missed the tick there because you couldn't quite hit on that 4th tick. Otherwise, you would have taken damage by Warden Slam. So, I don't know fully how to calculate that, but I think, especially if you have Confliction Gauntlets, the Eye of Ayak is going to come out on top. And we're only in Blue Moon. I'm not even putting Virtus or Ancestral with this. If you have it, go ahead and run it, obviously. Upgrade wherever you can to do this. I was just trying to keep my budget to an absolute minimum while not being on the complete struggle bus. And Eye of Ayak made more financial sense than the BoFa. So another thing that we can do is quick go over to the GE tracker and look at BoFa's current price. This thing is at 136 mil almost, and you would also need 6 crystal armor seeds. So call it, what, 38 mil or something like that. So 38 plus 135. So we're looking at 173 million GP versus the setup that I currently have is 68 plus a tormented bracelet. 68 plus 16, we're looking at 84, and the rest is like beans in a fart, you know, like an Eladinis ward. Wow, an extra 3 mil. So for 2 pickles and a fart, you can get this set up, or you can almost double it to get the BoFa setup, right? So again, completely up to you. If you do already have the BoFa, then you can go ahead and go for it. I'm just a little bit biased because it's a new thing and I wanted to try it. I did a 350 just before this, which the way I'm going to set this up is I'll put because the only thing that changes in the 350 versus these current invocations that we're going to be going in with, which I'll show you right now. So the only thing that changes in the 350 run is that you'll take this as your shell and just plop Insanity on, and you're at your 350, right? So I'm going to show you this. So if anyone just wants to get into experts in general, this is a pretty easy setup. Like, super chill. You know, we're on walk for it, so you have a 40-minute timer. We turn on hardcore run because there's really just no reason to continue if you're doing this for money or you're doing this for purple rate. There's no reason to continue if you die most of the time. Obviously, if you died like the beginning of the raid, you probably use supplies and you should reset anyway. So I don't think there's really an argument to turn hardcore run off unless you are, of course, a hardcore Iron Man, in which case... No, it's not. There's no reason... Just never turn this off, dude. Never turn this off unless you're doing like a learner. If you're doing like an entry mode learner, don't turn this off. It's free points. So we're on hardcore, we're on walk for it. We're on walk the path, and all this one does is it levels up the different rooms. So Baba could be like, Baba will be level 0, Kephri could be level 1, and then Akkha could be level 1 or 2, and then Zebak could be, I think, up to level 3. I don't think he gets past 3. Maybe he can get to 4. I feel like you'd have to have really bad luck to get to 4 with just walk the path on. I don't even know if it's possible, I'm going to be honest with you, but regardless. The only thing you really have to worry about for this is if Akkha gets to level 2, he'll have an extra color in the Simon Says minigame. So just look into it before you go into Akkha's room. Just be like, is he level 2? No? Okay, don't care. Is he level 2? Okay, extra Simon Says. And that's pretty much all this does. And when they level up, they just do more damage, have more HP, and more defense. It's just a stat increase. So, not a big deal. Deadly Prayers is actually a pretty good thing to have on now because we don't get fully penetrated by, like, Baba anymore. So this doesn't just smite you for no reason. And Akkha does less chip through prayer. Zebak is 100% protection. And Kephri, protection prayers don't do anything, right? So this is actually a really, really, really good invocation to put on just in general, no matter what you're doing. I pretty much would say always have this one on. And then on a diet, of course, is so we aren't using hard food, we're using brews. Lively Larvae doesn't really do anything. More Overlords will spawn an additional big beetle in Kephri room, which we don't really care about because they made the beetles far easier to kill. So we just deal with them, and the end. Blowing Mud, we're just going to get more dung on us. Doesn't matter, it's fine. Aerial Assault, you just have to move 2 tiles instead of 1. Not a big deal. Zebak. We have everything on for Zebak. Yes, we are on Upset Stomach. If you truly do not like Upset Stomach, you just cannot handle it. It is the most disgusting invocation, I understand. You can maybe put on something else. Maybe one of these. I guess you could like do Needs Some Help if you're feeling confident instead of Upset Stomach, but just get used to Upset Stomach. It's not that bad. I promise you it's not that bad. It can get a little awkward with the Atlatl because your range is shorter, but I promise you it's not that bad if you get used to it. Feeling Special on Akkha always, just so we can speed up Akkha a little bit. Jungle Jape's gotta have faith and shaking things up on Baba. None of these really do anything. You know, it's gonna drop a banana. The Sarcophagi will do more damage, but they don't ever explode, so it doesn't matter. And then shaking things up just makes that special easier to deal with, so there's no reason to not have this one on pretty much perma. And then when we get to Wardens, we're on everything except for Insanity, so we can get that last little bit of points that we need to get to a 300. And loosely, this just makes the Obelisk attacks hurt more if you get hit by them, makes it charge up a little bit faster, and then the Warden will, of course, attack faster in all phases. That's all these do, loosely put. You're not... Like, you'll notice these, but you won't at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take damage from the Obelisk regardless. The Warden attacks. You'll notice, but it's like, whatever, for the most part. This is the one that makes the biggest difference. This is like a completely different encounter once you put this on. But the rest of this, it's... just go, man. You'll be alright. So, if you are just here for the insanity thing... I did probably the worst last row in the history of the video game, and I still completed the 350 Deathless, so it's not too bad. I promise you it's not too bad. I'll give you the method once I get to the post-commentary of that, but do as I say, not as I do. I am not a big fan of this raid. I can do it, I can be successful, I just don't enjoy it as much as most people do. It's not my cup of tea. I would rather go farm Coliseum or Doom or something like that than run this raid by myself. So, let us go ahead and get into it. About the inventory, I mean, bring a BGS because we're going to be BGSing on Zebak, Baba, and the Obelisk for the most part. Everything else is kind of whatever. Kephri, you don't really need to do it. And, what's the other thing? Akkha. You, of course, it just seems kind of redundant. Like, I guess you could. I guess we could try. Like, I guess. I don't really see a reason to, but sure, if you want to go for it. Anything else about the inventory? We're on Thralls. We have Thralls and Death Charge. I don't know. You can Death Charge in Kephri off of the Swarms. And you can Death Charge in Baba off of the Monkeys. So if you would like to do that, you can do that. But I think those are the only two encounters you're really going to get anything off of. I don't know if you can Death Charge off the Shadows in Akkha. Maybe you can? I would imagine you can. It should count as a kill. So if you'd like to do that as well, you can. And the way we have it is Blood, Death, Fire, and Aether Runes. Definitely pick some of these up. They're really, really useful. You don't have to bring loose runes to get both of these. So definitely do that. We bring an extra super combat for when our pre-pot runs out when we go into Kephri, and we kind of just need prayer from that point. We have a blowpipe so we can deal better with Monkey Room and Swarms and Akkha's Shadows, because Akkha's Shadows we are still doing better DPS with blowpipe over anything else. DDS, of course, for the core, and we are camping Lightbearer. Something you could do, if you would like, you could drop an inventory slot and bring like an Ultor or Berserker ring swap with you. Alternatively, you could also camp it if you don't think, like if maybe you're an Iron Man, you don't have this quite yet. You can just camp the Ultor or the Berserker ring. It'll help your outlateral DPS quite a bit, like quite a bit. I'm opting out of it because I wanted to keep the budget fairly low, like as low as I possibly could to keep it feasible. So our current budget is 180 mil with all of this stuff. So we kept it below 200, but I mean, when you're running 300 and 350s, it sort of gets to the point where, are you using your time effectively by going in with a budget like this versus just going and doing another moneymaker and then coming back when your gear's a little bit better, right? So this is more of a proof of concept. Like, yes, you can do it at this point, and you will be fine, and you'll get okay times, but you could also come back, you know, 2-3 weeks later with a little bit more money, a little bit more oomph into your setup, and, you know, shave 5-7 minutes off of your run, something like that. And if you're going to be farming this raid for a very long time, probably worth it to start a little bit later if you're going to be doing the higher invocations. But I think that's every little spiel over, and we can just go ahead and jump in. Sorry that it was a little bit long-winded. Hopefully I can edit it down a little bit. In our chugging barrel, I just have Divine Super Combat, Divine Raging Potion. This is completely unnecessary. You don't need to do this. Extended Anti-Venom just gives us Anti-Poison and Anti-Venom for Baba and Kephri. This actually does carry over with the Anti-Poison. So we have the Anti-Venom going into Monkey Room, and then it turns into an Anti-Poison for another 10 minutes when we're in Kephri. So very nice there. But we bring 2 Sanfuse just in case anyway, for Zebak as well. Stamina Potion, completely unnecessary at this point, but, you know, why not? And then a Prayer Regeneration, completely unnecessary, but why not? Kind of thing. So let's go ahead and pre-pot and let's jump into the raid. I will talk when I feel like I need to, but otherwise we're kind of just going to fly through it, and I'll cut out any of the parts where I'm kind of just standing there and hitting a boss, but I'll comment where I need to, of course. So we'll go ahead and pot up. and we'll head on in there. So, like to always hammer home the point that in Monkey Room, you always want to be camping your range gear for the most part. You will obviously use melee, but you want to be camping your range gear for the most part because most of the things in there die to ranged attacks, right? So you want to keep that on more than anything else. So hopefully I don't botch this. Let's see how good I do. Always start with your staff equip because it's always melees. Always melees first. We already misclicked. We're off to a grand start. Already took a melee hit. We're off to a grand start. That guy hasn't seen me yet, so I'll grab this, and then we'll pipe him. Do this. Kill this. Stab this guy. Proc that guy. Stab this guy. Should be mages, if I'm not mistaken. And I stood on Venom, but we have anti-Venom, so it's fine. Just don't be bad, and you'll be A-okay. Forgot my defender, so I missed the one shot. It's fine. We have a shaman right there. We need to get him dead. Why didn't I attack? Hello? Make sure you attack and move when you go to your, whatever thing you need to go to. Use those volatiles to the best of your ability. Of course. Blowpipe spec if you need to. You don't really need spec going into, whatever it's called. Baba. It's nice if you do, but not completely necessary. I missed Augury there. Augury would help here a little bit. I think it might give us the one shot if we got it, but we did not. Remember to pray against whatever monkey you're dealing with. Try not to get venomed. Should have went for the shaman a little bit earlier. Bunch of volleys. See if we can utilize those. Kind of. There we go. Okay. Could have been worse. I've seen worse. Alright, let's get up into Baba. Baba's very simple. You can go for the BGS off rip if you would like, but most of the time it whiffs, in my experience. So we'll see how that goes. Summon a Thrall. Alright, we got the 28. That is max strength. So you can go about your merry way. We do have the Light Bearer, remember? So make sure your Burning Claws are on stab if you are bringing Burning Claws for a spec weapon. If you don't have a spec weapon, no biggie. If you're just bringing like Karis or something, whatever. Don't worry about it. No need to BGS spec again if you do hit the BGS though, remember that. It's just worse damage than anything. Did that just land on the monkey? Wait, I've never seen that. That dude got squished. Wait. Oh, I'm distracted. That was funny. I've literally never seen a monkey get squished by a boulder. That was funny. Hey, stop. You can be a little more aggressive with prayer flicking than I am. I am just not big on prayer flicking. I find it to be tedious and annoying, so I don't do it very often. But if you would like, you can, if you need to preserve your prayer potions. Remember Atlattl's range here. Do be mindful. You don't want to get dragged into a bonk or something like that. 6 tiles on rapid. 8 tiles on long range. Remember not to panic when you have Blood Fury in this raid. You can heal up quite a bit. And then once we get to Akkha, there are times where, like say he's protecting range. Eye of Ayak is technically better, yes. But if you do need HP, go ahead and throw the Fang on and try and get some Blood Fury procs. It's totally respectable damage still. And you might be able to heal up and save yourself. Not going to bother killing those monkeys because it's the end of the fight. And I'm not going to bother repotting just yet because it is the end of the fight. Don't forget to pick up anything you might have dropped to make room for your Bandos God Sword. Do not forget to drop an item. Repeat, do not forget to drop an item. Drop an item. You need it to equip your Atlatl and to equip your BGS. So just remember, drop an item when you go into Baba. It's sort of a rule of thumb just in any room early on. So Baba and Kephri, you make sure you drop something in the corner of the room, just in case you do end up swapping your weapons. And then for some reason, when you click this door, Sometimes you'll get stuck right here because the gate's not fully gone yet, so just be mindful. Alright, we're going to pot, and we're going to enter, and we're just going to drop a thing, and we're going to go stab. And we missed our prayer, but it's fine. Okay, so Kephri, just make sure you get some dung on these tiles, and it'll trap the meleeer. Just save you some grief. And I like to do the right side first. So we go stand here. Make a line there. And you should have enough time to make another line here before the melee spawns. Usually, depending on damage. If your damage is a little high, then maybe you don't get dunged. But if you don't get dunged, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. You just have to deal with the meleeer a little quicker. Protect melee if you need to. We should get dung here. Protect range once those explode, because you're actually in a setup that's not very tanky. So, you kind of need the extra... There we go. Get a dung there. And that'll trap the melee for you. You might be wondering, what exactly does that do? It's just so he doesn't come over here and start chomping us, right? That's all. You do still have to eventually deal with him, but you can leave him up until you're done with the room. Because what he does is he has a little thingy that'll heal Kephri a little bit, but now we can just turn off Piety and we go for some swarms. Okay, so now let's go ahead and deal with our friendly neighborhood guy right here. Watch out for the bombs. Arguable that you need to kill him, but I just like making sure he's out of the question because he's annoying, so... Make sure Blood Fury's back on, don't miss that one. And take Augury off because you're not maging anymore. Drink Prayer when you need to drink Prayer. And what we want to do here, because we're going to get dunged inevitably again, we want to make sure we're near a corner. We want to make sure we're putting those dungs on the corner. Alternatively, you can do... Oh, hold. For dodging Kephri bombs, you can put your bomb back here and get in this cycle. So now we're attacking. Bomb goes. Attacking. Like so. I'm going to stab one more time and go over here for the arcane scarab that's going to spawn. And we want to make sure this guy is dead. So 3 hits, it will jump, or if you hit over a 40, it will jump. So it always goes here, and then northwest, and then in the middle over there. And sometimes you have to spam click him a couple of times. Your character, I don't know what causes it, but like, it doesn't register that the scarab is there just yet. So you have to click that thing a few times. In a solo, you can like technically min-max and put your pipe on and shoot some of these swarms like as you're moving. But I just like to make sure all the scarabs are dead. All the beetles are dead before I proceed because it makes my life a little bit easier in these budget setups. Alright, and if you've seen my 150 guide, you know the drill. Rip the specs. Resummon a Thrall because you're about to be out of here. Bada bing, bada boom. Take your Super Restore, anything you dropped, move on. So, as you can see, we have used a Super Restore and a Dose, and we already need to free up inventory space somehow because we have our power. You're always clicking power first, if you can. If you can't, then something went wrong. Store anything you might not need. I'm just going to store that extra pot there, and maybe... we'll leave it at that. It should be fine. It should be fine. Nothing really to talk about in Akkha with this setup. Try to use your Ayak as much as possible, and other than that, it's pretty normal. When shadows spawn, switch back into your Eclipse and stuff, and use your blowpipe on the shadows. Okay, salt time. So we're going to withdraw our salt. We are going to put on the mage gear, and we are going to do Akkha. He's so simple now. You just pray what he's praying, and pray your offensive, and shoot his ass. We're not butterflying. I don't care. It is not that important. It ain't that serious. So look at this Ayak absolutely ripping him in half, by the way. Sheesh. By all means, use your Bloodpipe specs on the shadows to get some of your HP back. You're not going to really be specking in this fight too much. Okay, had a feeling. Red. Why? Hello. Why? Ayak as much as possible. Pray when you need to. I'm gonna spec him with Ayak because I can. Whoop it! And it's funny. It's got a cool animation. So 80, 60, 40, 20% he will phase. That's all you gotta know. And whenever he does his little animation, you know you need to change your prayer. And that's basically it. Nothing going on. Okay, we're good on DPS. It was looking a little crusty. We can Fang here if we want, or we can go to Atlatl. Both of them will be completely functional. I'm going to try to just get a Blood Fury proc or two. Well, I lied. We're going to do a little bit of blow piping. Oh, we got a burn there. Huge. A little bit extra DPS on the Shadow. I haven't summoned a Thrall. Oh, I'm going to test this, actually. Let's Death Charge real quick. It does work. Okay, very cool. Or no, that was a natural, yeah? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention fully. Check melee. We can still Atlatl. Like, yes, Ayak is better, but I'll show you that we can throw Atlatl a little bit, and it's fine. See? Perfectly serviceable DPS here, but this is better, so switch into it. Camp it as much as possible. That's why you bought it. Bada bing, bada boom. Switch back into everything again. And go over to Savage. So, for every 3 attacks you land, he will then jump. Or, I think if you have your Melee Thrall... Melee Thrall might not impact anymore. I'm going to summon it, and let's see. Let's do a little science here. Where's Melee Thrall? Come on in, buddy. Is he on? Can't tell if he's on. I have my my Thralls hidden because they're annoying. So, I have no idea. You can rip Burning Claws here. I'm just being dumb. I was too busy trying to find my Thrall. Anyway, that's Akkha. Nothing crazy. Took a little bit of chip damage, but again, that's Akkha. What can you do? Put on your mage gear just in case in this room, and you're going to use it to hit the crocodile if you end up missing ticks, or you get your water container punctured or whatever. Okay, I fucked up Royal and it didn't matter, so. Alright, so you're going to put your melee gear on, technically, quote-unquote, your melee and your range gear, your Eclipse gear. And then what we're going to do is open up with a BGS and see how it goes. All we need is a 20, remember. Protect melee at first, because this is going to big hurt if you don't land. 4, 5, 6. There we go. And let's get to Atlatl. So, remember, you want to be on a ranged prayer for your Atlatl for accuracy, because Piety does not do anything, because that is just a melee damage prayer. We are ranged. We are ranged accuracy and melee strength. It's a good way to think about it. If you're wondering if you're ever supposed to use the Atlatl spec on Zebak, no. No, don't do that. No reason to do that. Make sure you have your Thrall up. I know you can't see mine, but it is there, I promise. So, check this out. We don't even have to do anything here. We can just push that into that, and it'll explode naturally. See? If your jug hits the rock, it will explode naturally and be fine. Even on an upset stomach, it'll be fine. I'm not paying attention, I'm yapping. It's fine. It's what brews are for. Alright, we're paying attention again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is your line for rapid. Make sure you pay attention to that. Whenever you see these spawn, just go to the other side. See how I'm not paying attention to the line because I'm bad? Caught that just in time. You can lose damage here. It's fine. Make sure you just get out the way. That is the main thing to do. Get out the way. Make sure you resalt. And I'm gonna brew up again because we don't need these for the rest of the run, so there's no reason to risk my run by not doing it, right? Remember in Zebak to not change your prayer too fast. Make sure you wait for the hit splat to pop up and then switch for the next one. Don't switch too fast. Alright, there's Zebak. Okie dokie. So, let's get our life. And we can put back any of the not full potions that you have. Just go ahead and put those back because you're not going to need them. Bring those guys down there. Hit the resupply on this. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of everything. And then make sure your thingy-majiggy is set to left-click resupply. And you'll be good to go. Let's go ahead and run it. So what we want to do for the Obelisk is go ahead and open it with BGS. And Atlatl is actually better here by a little bit. By a little bit. So we're going to open with the BGS spec. All we need to do is hit a 20. If we don't hit a 20, we don't care. We just, we live with our sins. So we whiffed. I'm going to do it again. I don't care. That's what I like to see. Okay. Tank till about 70. Alright. You can go ahead and heal up here if you would like. You're going to be tanking the... whatever they're called in a moment. The, went too far there. Blah, 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 blah. The Obelisk attacks. So it's going to shoot, it's going to do UFO, UFO, you just dodge those, and then it's going to shoot 2 balls at you, one from over there, one from over here. You literally can't do anything about them. They just hit you. So you'll take a little bit of damage there. About a 40 from the first one, and somewhere in the mid-20s to low 30s from the second one. Move out of the way of the UFO. I'm just going to go ahead and use the last bit of my own brew. Move out of the UFO. Use a little bit of Raid Brew. Time this one... yeah. Timed it okay. Our DPS is a little low, unfortunately. Is what it is. We are salted. It's just a little bit slow. Upgrades are... ooh! Hate when that happens. Switch into your mage gear. Brew up. Spam click this guy. You can, like, just no thought brew up here because you are not going to use it in P3. Restore up all the way. Resupply. Summon a Thrall. Catch all your prayers. The reason we stand on this tile is because when he goes down, his core will be right there. And we can dodge every special attack rather easily from this tile as well. We only need to move 2 tiles usually. So, very good. Do not use your spec. Catch that, it's prey melee. Drink your Adren, catch that, it's prey range. Try and nail it all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 specials and a whack. And then you will add Latl. Resupply every chance you can. Make sure you are resupplying. So you're going to punch yourself if you don't. Skulls, you just need to be 2 tiles northeast, south, or west of the impact site, or you can just be far enough away to avoid it entirely. So check this out. We were 1 tile or 2 tiles within northeast, south, or west, so we were completely fine. Every time you click something, make sure you're resupplying. The burn makes his HP do weird shit up here. Just pay attention to the one right here. You're gonna do as many special attacks as you can. You should not quite have a full bar. I think I can fit 1 more. I forget how it works. And then get a BGS whack in there if you can. Maybe 2. Yeah, so not quite there, but it is fine. I missed something? Ward. Always check if you missed an item. So we get the fan. Let me go ahead and start healing up a little bit here. We're mostly just going to use our Ambrosias in P3 and 4. And we are camping our Eye of Ayak here. Go ahead and rip specs as much as you possibly can. And salt up. Was I not salted that whole time, by the way? Why didn't anybody tell me? God, too busy yapping all the time. Just always yapping. Can I? No. Darn. That would have been cool. Alright, I'm gonna drink adrenaline here. Send a couple specs. There we go. That should be max strength. And now we can just save the rest for P4. Oh yeah, and you can switch to accurate now if you want. Get that little extra boost. It's not a big difference, but it's something. Use your scarabs for prayer. Use your scarabs for prayer. They are good. Misclicking today. Yikers. Am I lagging? Is anyone watching my ping? Somebody tell me if I'm lagging. I feel like I'm lagging. Maybe I'm just bad. Alright, send specs. I think that's max strength. Summon Thrall. Alright. I'm not the cleanest final liner, by the way. It's just not my best thing that I do, because I don't do this rain. I don't do this raid? I don't do this rain. Raid? Rain. Raid? I also never get purples, so. 34-minute, 24-second. If we look at the board, most of it should be Zebak. Obviously Wardens, but most of it should be Zebak, right? Where is... Yeah, Zebak 409. Akkha actually took a little bit longer. Baba, no big deal, and Kephri actually took the longest. Probably because I let all the swarms go in, and then Wardens took 10. But that's sort of it. I mean, I'm not perfect at this raid, and I can do it, so I'm sure you will also be fine. I am, of course, max stats, but, you know, you should probably be max stats around this point. This is why I hate this raid, by the way. What is the point? Didn't even get a pet. I got a whopping 377k. Wow. That is sort of all she wrote for that. If you would like to use a BoFa, by all means, go for it. If you just have one, there's no sense in switching to this if you just have a BoFa, right? But just sort of giving you options, you could see how it functions there. I actually kind of liked this setup better with Insanity in the 350 than I did in this one. I think the tempo of the slams is just awkward on Overclocked 2. I've always been against putting Overclocked 2 on and not Insanity, because it does feel the most awkward to use. If you just left it off entirely and just did no Warden attack speed invocations, it would be fine. And then if you put Insanity on, it's fine because it lines up perfectly. You don't even have to think about it. But that one, there were times where I could get 2 attacks in, and I was trying to do that to the best of my ability. But I think I greeted too much because I thought I understood what was happening. Like I could do 2 attacks every other move, but I couldn't sometimes. I don't know what was happening. I also might have been lagging. I have no idea. The servers have been kind of recently because of the DDoS attacks. But the next thing you should see is the 350 Insanity if you do want to see that full thing. I will be commentating over it to explain sort of just like what I'm doing, what the difference is, and some little tricks you can do to make sure you don't die on the 350. And I am telling you right now, my last rows, my P4s are just so bad all the time, and I don't know why. I'm just not... It doesn't jive with me for some reason. I think I move to a clear spot, and then I take damage, and I'm like, well, what the I thought that was a clear spot. I didn't drop a boulder on it. There wasn't a shadow on it. I'm pretty sure I had the right prayer on. Usually I can see when I have the wrong prayer on, and I take like a 30. But like, in that fight, I took a random 19, and I don't know what it was from. But anyway. Hopefully you enjoyed the 300/350 budget run, as it were. Here's the setup and inventory setups if you would like to copy it. I did change out a couple of things. I think the biggest thing is probably the Fang, and that's kind of it. Like, if you have a Fang, you can at-lattle the whole time. Like, if you just wanted a Fang plus at-lattle and swap this out for, like, a Trident of the Swamp, you could totally do that. Obviously, it's going to be very slow, but it's functional. Like, you can get a raid done in, you know, 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes if you wanted to. But again, this is TOA 300 plus. Put some money into it if you can. It'll help you in the long run a great deal. Especially if you can get Confliction Gauntlets with this setup, dude. I think that's the next thing I'm going to do, just because I'm having fun with Eye of Ayak, just kind of testing it wherever I can. I'm going to get Confliction Gauntlets on this setup, and it's going to feel even funnier. It's going to be even better. And it'll still almost be cheaper than the BoFa setup. Isn't that crazy? It's almost like the same price / cheaper than the BoFa setup. So I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. I put my piece out there. The BoFa is not the end-all, be-all. Okay? If you're going to do Levy and you're going to do Inferno and you're going to do like Chambers, I get it. You can use a BoFa. But I'm just saying. Look at the Eye of Ayak. It's a pretty cheap, pretty powerful weapon that can get you into some higher tier PvM. But I've been rambling on for way too long. Here's the Insanity clip. I'll do the outro in that. Here's the Insanity clip. Okay, Insanity clip time. Here we are. Hello again. Nice to see you. It's been a while. So, the only thing that really changes with Insanity is, of course, Warden is a freak and attacks you every 3 ticks. But luckily for you, the Eye of Ayak is also 3 ticks. And Warden's attack speed is, like, sort of fake, because as you can see, the tiles have a bit of a travel time. So, there is like a weird gap sometimes where you can fit 2 attacks on some of the sides, and I sort of caught on to this after a while, and I keep trying to squeeze in attacks where I should have just, you know, been not greedy, and I'm pretty sure I take hits or something. Full disclosure, the final phase of this fight is miserable, dude. I played it maybe the worst you could possibly play it outside of dying, and I still survived. So, do as I say, not as I do here, okay? So try to fit in an attack every single tile at the very least, and if you want to, you can squeeze in that extra attack where you notice that you have the extra time, but otherwise don't worry about it. Small tip for Insanity after skulls. Watch what I do here. So I go to the back of the room, because you don't actually have to remember where you are in the cycle, because that's all Insanity does, is Insanity remembers where it was in the cycle, and you're supposed to just continue doing as you were. So let's say the next move you were supposed to make is go left. The Warden will remember that, and you will be supposed to go left. But if you don't remember, you can do as I just did there. Go to the back of the room and just watch Warden where he starts lifting, and you have plenty of time to just move into the cycle when he does his attack. Like, because you see how the tiles travel backwards and it takes a while? You have so much time to just move out of the way and get into the cycle and creep up to this line of 3 that I have. It's not critical that you stay to those 3 tiles. Those are just the 3 centermost tiles where you can move 1 tick between every dodge that you have to do. It only takes you 1 tick to move to the other side of the room. So you see again that I go all the way to the back because I just don't even pay attention to where I'm at in the cycle. I don't care. I just go to the back of the room and I respond accordingly to wherever Warden's attack is in that moment. But for the most part, this fight doesn't change in Insanity all that much. You can kind of treat it the same way as anything else. So if you do want to run Insanity, it's not as threatening as it may seem. I think the biggest thing that you have to pay attention to is Zebak prayers. That's kind of the biggest thing you have to pay attention to for the most part until you're on Final Row. In Final Row, you need to... When the shadows spawn for lightning, they spawn in sets of 3. So it'll be chunk of lightning, chunk of lightning, chunk of lightning. To dodge them, once you're on last row, all you have to do is step into the first chunk of lightning as it explodes, if that makes sense. Like, on the tick that it is done its damage, you are moving into that tile, and it'll look like you got struck by lightning, but you didn't. It's just the animation that's lingering there, and you can move in to dodge on last tile and take no damage. I am very unpracticed in this, as you will see at the final row of this fight, but as you can also see, the Eye of Ayak is kind of blitzing this guy, which is super cool. We love blitzing this guy. Not a bad weapon at all. Highly recommend giving it a shot. It's a bit cheaper of an option than a BoFa, and if you can swing the Confliction Gauntlets, I think it would go absolutely crazy, and I really want to try it myself, but I unfortunately cannot afford them because the Doom of Makwidal does not want to drop me any drops. I'm like 3x rate at the moment, and I can't get a drop, but I digress. We are approaching the last skulls. If you would like to skull skip, you can. The reason to skull skip is to generate more damage for you personally, which gives you more points, which then gives you more purple chance. But I say don't worry about it, just get it done, you know? Get the raid done and get used to it later. And you see there, I move to the back of the room and I dodge. About the Baba boulders that spawn, in Insanity, you literally just can ignore them until P4, because you have to move before the boulder would ever make it to you. Unless your Baba is like, I don't know, maybe level 4 or something for some reason, but... Here's the worst P4 you've ever seen in your life. I'm going to rip a bunch of specs because once P4 starts, you do have to redrain. Your drain does not carry over during P4, so remember to spec again. I think I just end up standing in a bunch of lightning at some point, bro. I don't remember what happened. All I know is that it was bad. Like, really, really bad. It looks good. It's like, looks fine right now. I promise you, bro, it's about to be a disaster. Watch this. Maybe it's just last row, but this is a disaster. I'm telling you, if I can do it, you got this. Like a default clean tile and shoot. I didn't move fast enough. I was too busy looking at the roses or something, smelling my own farts. I don't know. I'm telling you it looks fine. I'm telling you it looks fine. Just watch. Look at this. Bonk, bonk. Chanced, probably. Back into the rock. Bonk. Just actually bonking myself like a bot. But you see me do the lightning skip, and then I get bonked by the rock because I just walked back into the tile that I was just on. I'm like, okay, there's my lightning. And let me just not move. Look how terrible it is. Look how bad I am. Make fun of me in the comments. Type LOL capital letters, you're bad. I want you to type that in the comments. But we still get through it, it's fine. Click Ambro, bro. Just click Ambro. When you start doing shit like that, just click Ambro, and you'll be fine. And then it was a 35-minute? Yeah, 35-minute and then 37-minute overall with the puzzles, so not too bad. I'm telling you, bro, you can do so much better than me. I am not good at this raid by any stretch of the imagination. Just get in there and get practiced. If you just want to practice Insanity, you can literally just turn that Invocation on and go run that. If you just want to practice it without the buffs to like a 300 raid, you can go practice it in like a 150. But this has been Gis. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next video. Subscribe for more guide content and other various things that I do on my Snowflake accounts.